there's a lot of things that are new and will keep on evolving, and more ways to earn a living, right, off of the art. But artists are, I mean, we are naturally very like very intuitive and curious, but also I think like after a while we kind of get set in our ways a little bit. And you've worked with so many like different artists and encouraging them to like, hey, like do TikToks, do this, do that, do that. But I'm sure not everybody jumps at that, right? So like, what are some things you're seeing in independent artists or just artists that you think are holding them back from being able to embrace all of these things?
Yeah, I think actually, instead of one thing, I think what you just summed up was probably the big bit, which is tradition. I think we're so caught up in tradition of what the music industry should be that we don't look at what the industry is and how to manipulate it because it's there for the taking. And so what happens is we're looking at music should be worth something. And I agree, you should get paid for your music. I think it's a complete travesty that you get paid 0.004 cents for your music. And even worse, that I could go and listen to Purple Rain by Prince and he would get 0.004 cents for that when it's a 9-minute song.
Right.
And I'm like, that's a horrible thing. The problem is we've got two choices, which is number one, we can all go outside with our pickets and we can all shout about it and we could say, this is not on.
Right.
We can. And we probably should a little bit, but it's time consuming and it takes away selfishly from you. From you as the artist, because also, like I said earlier, the music industry is a young industry.
Right.
So it is tradition, but this isn't a 1,000-year-old tradition. This is a 30-year-old tradition. This is a relatively young tradition of, so this whole tradition of how we sell music has changed again and again and again and again. So if we look at 1950 to 2022, if you say, well, when was the golden era? And people say, well, back when you could buy music. Well, it wasn't the 50s and 60s because that was a disaster when it came to the music industry. Then it was like, okay, so the 70s, maybe, but in the 80s, there was a huge problem. And, Michael Jackson Thriller came out. I think that was in the late 70s. And it was one of those, not saved the music industry, but there was issues ahead because there was so much money being pushed out.
Right.
And of course, CDs came along, but CDs was sort of 2000. And then by 2010 or 2014 or something, CDs had jumped off a cliff. So we're kind of harping on about tiny fragments of the music industry, of the good old days, the golden days. And they weren't as golden as everyone thinks that they were because most artists were getting ripped off. So rather than have this rose-tinted sort of view of what the music industry used to be like and what the music industry should be like. I actually saw something today where someone had posted something on Instagram and it said, how much do you think people should get paid per stream? And I was like, oh, that's inviting some good clickbait. Yeah. And the consensus was nobody wanted to be greedy, but everyone said it should be at least 1 cent per stream as opposed to 0.003. The problem with that is, can you imagine how much people would have to pay for their monthly Spotify premium for everyone to get paid?
Right.
It wouldn't be I'm paying my $10 and everyone gets 1 cent per stream. It would be, oh no, I'm paying $350 a month for my Spotify because otherwise the math don't add up. So that's the system we're in. So for me, it's like we've got to stop looking at tradition, and what we've got to look at is, how do I play the system? How do I play the system and win? Because with TikTok, with Reels, with YouTube Shorts, with YouTube, with how much money you can be made from ticket sales or streaming or building a library. I mean, even streaming can make something. If you look at my YouTube channel, for example, I'm not a prolific YouTuber, but I've got about 750 videos, which I'm just constantly adding to all of the time. And as long as I do one video a week, I'll probably make, I don't know, somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000 a month for just from adding. So I'm not going and making 700 videos, but over a period of 5 years, I'm just adding another one and another
Right.
one and another one.
Right.
And they're building and building and building. Now, if I went to do 5 videos a week, I could probably get that to $10,000 a month quite easily.
Wow.
I mean, my mental health would blow up, but other than that, I could. So
Right.
you can make money from streaming, but we have to think of it as what it is. It's
Right.
like a library, like a record label, and not I've got one song. How do I make $1 million a month from my one song? Because that becomes very, very difficult unless you've got a blow up, a blow up one hit wonder like Gangnam Style or something like that, and even that's going to have a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be done, but we've got to play the system. If you want to make money from streaming, then we can't make an EP of 7-minute songs and then hope to make a fortune from streaming, because we haven't played the streaming game. If we want to go out and do 70 to 100 tour dates, then we have to make sure that we have the best show. And so what does that look like on our socials, and how does the music relate to that? So whenever game we play, we have to face it and say, I'm going to use the music, build the audience, but this is the motorway. This is the road I'm going down to monetize, as opposed to I'll do a little bit of everything. Instead, I'm going to go right down that road. And if it's streaming, I'm going to be making song after song after song after song. If it's touring, I want everyone to know that this is the best touring act of the last 5 years. And I'm going to put pictures and videos all over my socials, and I'm going to make it an event. And that's the thing that I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And if it's Patreon, then it's like, well, where's the secret value that I'm going to say, here's all the free stuff that you get, but you pay for this little bit. And that bit needs to be amazing. And so therefore, that's the road that you go down. And so you get to choose, but it isn't tradition. It isn't just, I made some music, give me the money.